Hi there, I'm Rose Jordan with Visit Mineral Wells, and we're standing in the historic Poston's Dry Goods building that is now the new home of the Mineral Wells Visitor Center. In the fall of 2022, the Chamber and Visitor Center moved from our home of nearly 35 years to come here to the Poston's Dry Goods, right in the heart of the downtown bustling activity. When making that move from our 200 square foot building to now 1,400 square foot space, we have the opportunity to completely reimagine what a visitor center could be and offer. We have flipped the script on what a visitor center can be, making it a must-stop spot for travelers and for locals, and storytelling is our #1 goal. Here, you'll find everything you need to plan your visit to Mineral Wells and Pella Penny County. Everything from maps and visit guides, event information, trip itineraries, and lots of while you're here ideas. This is the area that you most commonly would know as a visitor center, and we still have it right here. So one of the things we wanted to make sure to do when we were building out the new visitor center was preserve Mr. Poston's cashier station. It was actually very high tech in its day, and we're gonna show you exactly what that looked like. But follow me, we're gonna show you around a few things. Another thing we wanted to do is a lot of our locals have memories and stories about shopping here when they were kiddos. And so we have actually made a space for them to share their stories with us. In fact, we just got one yesterday that I've not yet put up. But we love being able to capture those stories. And then you see on this panel over here where they've got lots of the old advertising newspapers and things. So that's a lot of fun. But follow me up. Normally we don't let anybody but Mr. Poston go up, but you can come on up with me. So as you take a look around, you can see where we've pretty much kept it the same way that Mr. Poston had it, with one exception. Back in that corner, there would have been a great big old safe. And the Historic Association has since done something else with that safe. But this is basically what it looked like when Mr. Poston was up here working as the cashier for the entire store. So if you want to take a look over here, this is what most people love to see. This is, again, that very high-tech cash trolley system that you would have seen back then. It's the Lamson, I always forget, it's the Lamson wire line carrier. And so back in the day when this store was open, there were 4 of these cable systems running across to the different sections of the store. And so here's how this worked. Again, this was the cashier station. And so if we had somebody, and you see where this line goes out that way, if we had somebody at the other end of this cable that was selling a pair of shoes, and they sold the shoes for $16, and the customer gave them a $20 bill. Now, I realized in the early 1900s, a $20 pair of shoes was unheard of, but I'm equating it to today. And so they would, down there, the clerk would put the $20 in the cup, and I've got one up here that you can see. They would put their $20 in the cup. They would put it back into the system and send it whizzing down here to Mr. Poston, where Mr. Poston would then take it down, take the $20 out, put the $4 of change in, put it back in the thing, and send it whirring down to the clerk where she could make the change for the customer. All right, so we're gonna send some change down to the other end. So another really fun spot is you'll see this gallery wall behind me. This is the art of the Mineral Wells Art Association. We were really excited to do something with this big strange wall. What you can't see because it's painted is there are actually windows here that have been painted over, so it's not a solid wall, and it was a little bit of a challenge figuring out what to do with it, but it's perfect as a gallery wall for the Mineral Wells Art Association. So not only can you come in and purchase their art, but you can see here where every month at their monthly meeting, they have a contest and everybody submits their art, and they have a first, second, and third place winner. The third place winner comes here to the Mineral Wells Visitor Center, so you can see the one from March. And then what we have here is something that if maybe you don't have a place for a big piece of art, but you want to help support local art, this is their fundraiser painting section. And so each of the artists will do some small pieces and donate them to the association, but they're all available for $5, and it's a fundraiser for the association. So we really love having the Art Association here, being able to show off their local art and give the artists a place to display their work. So one of the things that we want to show you is the way that inside our souvenir shop or merchandise shop or whatever you want to call it, gift shop, we don't just have merchandise. In fact, all of our items are very specifically curated to help us tell the stories of Mineral Wells. So you won't find anything in here that's here just for the sake of having a souvenir to buy. And so for an example, we've got this flying pig shirt. And if you've heard many stories about Mineral Wells, it's hard not to hear about the flying pig. But just in case you're new, we'll share that story with you just to give you an idea. So in Mineral Wells, you've probably heard of our famous Baker Hotel. And for years, it's been closed up. And people would say, the Baker will be restored when pigs fly. And in 2019, the Baker team made the announcement that the hotel was under renovation. It was going to be restored. And so we had a class at the time, a Leadership Mineral Wells class that was raising funds for a project to restore our famous welcome sign. And one of the things that they did as a fundraiser is purchase a great big yard flying pig. And they put him at the stage at one of our local eateries and coffee shops where there's live music in the evenings. And for $5, you could sign the pig, and it was your way of saying, I believe the Baker is going to be restored, it's coming back and it's going to happen. And so they had lots of people sign that flying pig, and it actually now lives over at Coffee and Cocktails, and it's still there to see. But around town, you'll see more flying pigs. You'll see murals, and even in my office, there's a whole flock of flying pigs. And so one of the reasons is because we love to tell that story. So we have this t-shirt that is 76067, which if you're wondering, that's our zip code. And we have it on everything too, but it has a little flying pig. And so here you'll see the story that tells you a little bit about why we love flying pigs in Mineral Wells. And then it mentions that you can actually grab this 15 crazy, weird, and unusual things to see trip itinerary, because the flying pigs are number 10 on the list. And so as you roam around in our little shop here, you'll see lots of stories that connect with the merchandise. And so we want to use that to help you, just inspire you to go out and visit our attractions. And so I mentioned in the intro about Mineral Wells being the true crossroads of America. And that's what this shirt is all about. So right outside our doors actually is the intersection of Highway 281 and Highway 180. And the reason that that is the true crossroads of America is because Highway 281 runs north and south from Canada to Mexico, and Highway 180 runs west from California coast all the way east to Washington, D.C., making this intersection right outside a true crossroads of America. So you can grab the shirt and then head right on over just right outside our front doors and go take a picture with that very famous intersection. So you'll see lots of those kinds of stories around. And then we've also partnered with some of our attractions, one of those being Clark Gardens. And so we've got a few of the items out of their gift shop, and we've got a little story about them. But here's one of my favorite things that we brought from their gift shop is, it doesn't look like much, but it's a little bag of fish food, because you may not know, but when you go to Clark Gardens, you can actually purchase fish food and then go to one of the ponds and feed the fish. Or you can purchase it here because it's still their money and head on over to Clark Gardens and feed their fish. So we really love being able to not just give you merchandise to sell, but help inspire your travel while you're here. So another fun symbol that you may see around town is our historic Greetings from Mineral Wells postcard. And a lot of towns have these. It was a Kurt Teek postcard back in the 1930s. And so we've actually created a whole section just for the postcard, where you can buy the postcard or the t-shirt or the ball cap. But while you're here, we're actually sharing the story about the postcard, just a little bit of history about where it came from. And then if you've ever looked at these postcards before, every single letter has a different attraction within that community. And so we're asking you here in our display if you can identify them, and then you can go check our blog post with this QR code to see if you got it right. And as well, we've got our murals map here because we have the whole side of one building covered in this postcard. And so we want to encourage you to grab our murals map and head out and see that mural as well as all the other murals that we have here in town. And the last little section that we want to show you, just because it's kind of a lot of fun, well, okay, they're all fun, but this is our Judge Lynch shirt, and this is actually an iconic historic photo of Mr. Lynch on a donkey, and a lot of people will think he's holding a bottle of hooch. So we're actually telling you the story here about who he is and why he's on a donkey, and that in fact is not a bottle of hooch. It's a bottle of crazy water. And so what we've got here is the story about that photo. By the way, if you're wondering why he's on a donkey and what the big deal is, back in the late 1800s and early 1900s, when you came to Mineral Wells to visit for our waters, another thing that you did was take a donkey ride up the mountain. It was one of those, if you didn't do it, you weren't probably here. And so they had photographers going up the mountain, and you and your group would take a picture of everybody on a donkey, and that was sort of your Instagram moment in those days. And so that's why the donkeys are kind of a big deal here. But we're sharing the story about Judge Lynch, and then also Judge Lynch was the one that drilled our very first well. So he was not only the one that founded Mineral Wells, but he dug or hired the digging of the very first community well here in Mineral Wells, which happens to be just a block away. And so you can see here some pictures that show you what the old well looks like really right now. It's just a little metal medallion down in the bottom of a parking lot. So there's not much to see, but there is a historical marker there, and we just want to encourage you to go out and see it and maybe grab a t-shirt or a sticker. But this is one of our local favorite t-shirts that we have here in the shop. So now that you've heard some of our fun stories and learned a little bit about some of the fun attractions that we have around here, you're probably ready to plan your trip to Mineral Wells. When you're ready, come on down and visit us here at the Visitor Center. We'll share more fun stories and give you all the information you need to plan your trip. And we'll also be dropping a link in the description to our visitmineralwells.org website, so you can do a little pre-planning before you come out. Thanks for joining us on our tour today. We hope you've had some fun and just learned a little bit about the culture and some of the fun things to do here in Mineral Wells.